Sunday school teacher working with kindergartners asks them, if you sell your house, you sell your car, sell your business, and give all your money to church, will you get into heaven? Kids yell, no. Says, if you volunteer at the church every week and you're there cleaning up and helping out and doing everything you can to make the service amazing, will you get into heaven? Kids yell, no. Teacher's a little perplexed and goes, well, then how do you get into heaven? Kid yells out, you got to be dead. Perspective. What we're talking about here is perspective. So my talk for today is to be committed. And I got a quote from Goethe to start us off. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. That quote is by William Hutchinson Murray. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Back in my 20s, I wanted to become a stockbroker. I was not a college grad, and at the time, all the programs to become a stockbroker were set up where you had to be a college grad. Now, I was engaged at the time. Both my father and my fiance's father told me to lie on my application and say I was a college grad so I could get into a program. So being young, I listened, lied on my application, and lo and behold, got hired into one of the most prestigious stockbroker programs down on Wall Street. I'm going along in this program, and one of the things you do is you listen to these tapes. And on one of the tapes, it said, we are going to look into every part of your background before you get licensed. So if you have lied on your application in any way whatsoever, you need to turn off the tape now, walk into the manager's office, and tell him what you lied about. So I turned off the tape, walked into my manager's office, told him what I lied about. He said, thank you for being honest, you're fired. My father and my fiance's dad were furious at me for telling the truth. But the thing about me was I was sure I was going to be a stockbroker because that's what I wanted to do. I was committed to it. So where everybody at this point is telling me I might as well look for something else, there's no way I will now get to be a stockbroker because not only don't I have a college education, but I have lied on an application and that will continually come up. I pull out the yellow pages, and it turned out at the time there were over 500 brokerage houses in New York City. So I started at the A's and I started calling. Day in and day out, not a single interview. Made 300 phone calls. Because I was going to make this work. On my 300th call, I said to the person on the other line, I said, you are my 300th call. All I'm looking for is an interview. And the guy on the other end goes, wait, how many calls have you made? I said, 300. He said, anyone who's made 300 phone calls is somebody I want to meet. Okay, you got yourself an interview. I said, okay, I got something that'll work here. Over the next 25 calls, I said, you are my 301st call. You are my 302nd call. I got 12 job interviews. Out of those 12 job interviews, I got 6 job offers. And I picked one, and I became a stockbroker. Perseverance, commitment, not knowing how it's going to unfold. I had no idea that by saying I had made 300 calls, it would make all the difference. It just came to me to do that. Commitment is everything. I had somebody come to me the other day and tell me about their circumstances as if it was truth. Circumstances are facts. There's not truth. There's only one truth, that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings and have the power to have our lives work magnificently. That's the only truth. Everything else may be a fact, may be a circumstance, but it's not a truth. So the question that comes up is, what are you committed to? Are you committed to your facts, or are you committed to your truth? We are in a movement where what we're committed to is not changing our jobs, not changing our relationships, not changing where we live, but changing our thinking. Because the power is in changing our thinking. We can change all those other things and still wind up with the same life. Does that make sense? Ash and I are always looking for ways to improve our relationship. And so we found a couple called Gay and Katie Hendricks, who in my opinion are the masters of relationship. And they pointed out that we're always committed to something. There's always something we're committed to. The question is, what? When I hear somebody talk about their illness, defend that they are sick, I say that they are committed to their illness, continually reaffirm it, and thereby reinforce and give it power so that it continues. A buddy of mine, Reverend James Mellon, now Dr. Reverend James Mellon, talks about the fact that he was told he had stage 4 cancer. And he thought, that's crazy. I'm a metaphysician. I know better than this. There is no way I have stage 4 cancer. I don't care what the doctors say. And so he didn't go around telling people he had stage 4 cancer. Instead, he went around telling everybody he was whole, healthy, and complete. Now, that didn't stop him from going and getting chemo, having surgery, doing the radiation. But he kept holding, kept telling folks, instead of the story of his cancer, the story he shed was that he was whole, healthy, and complete. And sure enough, he is. Cancer-free for, I think it's over 10 years now. I know folks who every time they go, they're asked, or think about buying something, think they don't have the money. Actually say it out loud, I can't afford that. And so perpetuate and continually reaffirm their commitment to not having the money. Another buddy of mine, Dr. John Waterhouse, tells a story of when he was at his poorest, putting together enough for a $100 bill and sticking it in his wallet. And so what he would do is then he could never say he didn't have the money because he had $100 in his wallet. Instead, he would say, I choose not to buy it because I'm going to be a good steward of my money. And we are not a movement of semantics. We are a movement of power. The Bible says, in the beginning was the Word. This is really important that we use words to influence the power we want to influence, that we are committed to using words in a way that actually builds the strength we want to build to create what it is we want to create in our lives. Does that make sense? So by saying, I choose not to buy this, is a way more empowering and powerful place to stand than saying, I can't afford it. Right? Okay. So what are you committed to? Abraham Lincoln says commitment is what transforms a promise into a reality. So what we're committed to is transforming our promise to a reality. So it's really important to know what it is we are committed to. Dr. Holmes talks about treating until things appear. Not treat once, not treat a certain number of times, until it actually shows up, whatever it is that we want to show up. Now, that doesn't mean constantly doing a spiritual mind treatment, though that is part of it. The other part is watching all the other affirmations we're saying all day long and making sure that none of them contradict what it is we want to create. Now, as I've said in the past, it is clear to me that we just got to get this right 51% of the time. So it isn't like we got to be perfect in our thoughts. It is that we got to be calling ourselves and working on those thoughts. The thing about doubt is that we all have it. But when we take action on our doubt, we have now given that doubt way more power than it deserves. That what we need to be taking action on is the truth, because that's what we want to give power to, right? One of my favorite movies, well, used to be one of my favorite movies when I was younger, was a movie called The 10 Commandments. Because it cracks me up how these Israelites couldn't seem to catch on. First, they're imprisoned. And Moses comes along and he does all these amazing miracles till finally the Pharaoh says, okay, get out of here. I do not want you here anymore, and sets the slaves free. And so the Israelites head to the Red Sea, and everybody's just, oh my God, is God great? Look at the miracles. This is amazing. Then they get to the Red Sea, and they're having trouble crossing it. And and the Pharaoh changes his mind and sends all these soldiers after them. And now the Israelites are going, oh my God, why did we leave? We should have never left. We need to go back. They're going to kill us. We're all going to die. And Moses says, how quickly you forget the power that is here for you. Parch the Red Sea, and they all get across. Then, when the soldiers come in, he closes the Red Sea on them, and they all get washed away. And once again, the Israelites are like, oh my God, the power of God. Is God wonderful? Is God grand? And then they get to the bottom of Mount Sinai, right? And then Moses says, okay, I'm going up to talk to God. I'm going to get, see what's going on up there. You guys hang out here, relax, I'll be back. And about 10 days pass, and they're already freaking out. And they're thinking, what a mistake we made. We're here, we're lost in the desert. Oh my God, let's make a golden calf. Because somehow that's going to make it better. So they make the golden calf. Moses comes down from the mountain, sees what they've done, throws the tablets, they break. It breaks, and there's a big boom, 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 and everybody's like, oh my God, God is great. And God's now pissed. See, he's like, okay, with all that doubt and all the actions you took around your doubt, you now have to wander around the desert for 40 years. None of you actually gets to get into the promised land. Only your next generation does. And I saw that movie, and I was laughing so hard at those idiots who kept forgetting. And then I started thinking about my own life and started thinking about all the time I forget. and start doubting. All the time, I forget and maybe take action to hedge my bet. Like, that's why they made the golden calf, right? It was to hedge their bet against, well, maybe God's not going to come around again, so we better hedge our bet with these other gods too, right? And so, isn't that the whole idea of a backup plan, to hedge your bet? Like, we need that sort of thing. Like, we need a backup plan because maybe our dream isn't going to come true. Maybe this dream that we have is too big for God. Maybe this dream, the power isn't there for. Really? The guy who made or the girl, or the being, or the essence that made the heavens and the earth and made all this stuff is going to have trouble with your dream? Is that the thinking here when we think we need a backup plan, or we need to try this a different way, or somehow give up on that thing that means the most to us? No. The beauty of all this is that it's not some essence of thing out there, it's here, right? This is what we teach, is the thing is in here. So, I believe in the moral compass of our country. I believe that there is something deep within every cell that leads towards unity and love, but it's a quiet voice, and it's a nudging voice, and it's up to us to bring it forward and up. So I put something on my Facebook page about something our president said that had to do with sexual harassment. And I watched the comments flood in on both sides of the coin. Those who were like hating our president for saying that, and those who were defending his righteousness because he's leading us to the promised land. And on both sides, all I could see was that people were looking down, not up, not within, not for the moral compass that has to come from each and every one of us inside ourselves. I didn't put that up because I wanted people to hate our president. I put it up as a reminder that we have to come from within ourselves to make sure that each of us is holding that moral compass, that each of us is making a stand for peace, for love, for light. That it is only through doing that within each of us that then we are creating that energy in the world that allows for the kind of commitment, that allows for the kind of world we want. But the commitment to it, you know, the most fascinating thing about our country and our First Amendment rights is that everybody gets to have them, whether we agree, we like what they did or not, like what they said or not. But what we do get to do is hold that high ground. Because the stronger we can stand in that, it has to manifest. It isn't just, it isn't just our personal dreams we're working on here. We get to affect an entire race consciousness with this movement if we cannot stand in hating anything. But that's what it takes, to not get mad when something happens we don't like, but instead come back to the truth. Because the second we get mad at something we don't like, we have given that thing power, and we are now off-center too. And so I've decided for myself that as I keep sitting with the activism I want to participate in, I want to be in the world, I am making sure that whatever actions I'm taking come from that place of where I'm standing in what I want to see in the world. You know, like Gandhi said, be what you want to see in the world. Be it first. And so that's my stance. That's what I'm committed to. That's what I'm asking you to be committed to today. Stop hating our president. Stop hating. Start loving what it is you want to see and hold that, because that's how it shows up. When you look at the disease, more disease shows up. That's what we know. It becomes harder to see that the exact same thing works outside in the world itself, in the race consciousness itself. that it's really up to us to stand for something greater. Because who else is gonna? It's up to us. Right here, every single day, what we put on Facebook, what we bring out into the world. It's up to us to remember who we truly are, to bring forth that if we want to be the abundant, rich, powerful individuals we are, then it's not just about us, it's about an entire race consciousness. And that we affected by everything we do. We are the model. We can be the models. And there are 443 other centers working to be the models. In Unity, there's another 400-something working to be the models. That's enough to change the world if we stop hating what we don't like. If we stop looking, I'm not saying don't look at what you don't like, but then remember the truth. That's what we have to do day in, day out. We get to it 51% of the time. I promise you, life will change for everyone. It has to. That's our teaching. Otherwise, we have no teaching. If it actually didn't work that way, what are we doing here? But for anyone who's been in this teaching long enough knows it actually does work that way. So we just have to stand for it. So what are you committed to? What are you committed to? We have a center here that offers classes, workshops all week long. What are you committed to? How many here have taken foundations? All right, quite a few. How many are in class now? Any class now? Much fewer. It's the continuous work that makes this thing work in our lives and in the world. Check out my Rise Up Club this afternoon. What we work on is your next step, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. Let's sit together and look at what it takes for us to rise together, to gain that kind of support we need from each other to rise up. Sit with Reverend Trish. She has that Emma group in the morning and is now doing that deeper dive class. We have so many things going on here to help each of us rise up. There's a Prosperity 2 class that's already starting to see miracles. This is what's possible when we stand together. This is what's possible when we can treat this place like a gym. This is your spiritual gym. Come here and work out your spiritual muscle. Get it stronger and stronger. What are you committed to? And how are you standing in your commitment? That's the question I give to you today. Come here. Let's be in this together. Let's change not only our own lives, but the race consciousness of the planet. That's what's possible. I love you. All right, take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Because what you are holding is the God energy of life. There is nothing that God is not. So by holding this, you are infusing it. You are reminding yourself and the energy that is in your hands that this is power. This is how the recycling happens. This is how the resurgence, this is how you grow the planet, is by what you give, receiving back multiplied abundantly. So you give with intention. You give with purpose. You give with knowing that this returns abundantly. Let's say this aloud together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am. And so it is.
So it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a